and pick 106. And I can remember that because Max has that tattooed on his body. But Coach Gruden and I had talked about him. We had picked 106 and 108. And I told Coach, I'm going to trade 108. Let's move down, pick up some extra picks, but let's keep 106. Okay, that was like the third or fourth pick in the fourth round. Let's not trade that away. There's a few guys right in there that we really like, and we got on the Crosby conversation. Coach loved him. I loved him. The big issue was the entire league knew about his addiction.
Yeah,
both alcohol and drugs.
Which, for folks who don't know, the guy's been sober for years now. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I can talk about it, and it's a good story, Pete.
Yeah.
And so it was a little bit. You put the tape on, and it was just like at Eastern Michigan. The effort was just the same. Like he just everywhere you look, Max Crosby was flying around the field. He could bend like Gumby, like rare ability to bend and get under blocks and create leverage, and. One of the concerns was how big could he get? What did his frame, was it going to allow him to grow? And he has. He's like a 270-pound defensive end now. He's growing into that massive frame. But the addiction was an issue, obviously. And so we took him. His rookie year, he came in second for Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think it was behind Nick Bosa. And the entire year, he was still playing pretty hard off the field. And his girlfriend, Rachel, who's now his wife, basically said, I'm out. I'm leaving. And she packed up and moved back to Florida. And that sobered him up. And she said, if you want to do something here, you got to go in a facility, which we as the Raiders backed him 100%, Coach Gruden and I. But Max and Rachel did all the work. And it's a great story now. It's a wonderful story. And the guy's on the cusp, if he can stay healthy, of a Hall of Fame career.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Yeah.
He's a great story.
Yeah, it is. And I appreciate you being so transparent and sharing that with us. I'm sober 14 years. So I love a guy like Max. It's very cool to see him being public.
I think that, and he's so public about it.
Yeah.
And now he's an addictive personality. Right.
Yeah.
So now what he is he throws everything into being a great husband and father and football player.
Yeah.
And but you see, he's still showing up at the UCF fights and hanging out with this guy.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And he's sober and happy. And we were at his wedding 2 years ago. And it was just, I was so happy for him. It was wonderful.
That's amazing. Yeah. And that's what they say, if you get sober and you do the things you need to do, there's no place you can't go, right. Whether it's a concert, UFC or UCF. Right. All right. So I got one or two more questions for you about the Raiders. The Antonio Brown situation. What did you learn about yourself, about life, from that move? Because everybody in the world would have pulled the trigger on it. And when you get them, it's like, wow, this is interesting.
I'm not sure everybody would have pulled the trigger. And there were some hesitations there because basically I was coming into a situation with a team that was 4-12 the year before. It was old and slow, and we needed to get young. We needed a good moral compass in the locker room, a bunch of them, so we kind of needed to radically change athletically and every other way. Okay. And we knew we had a lot of picks in that draft. And so that was a little bit of that trade, the Steelers wanted a first round pick. And I told Kevin Colbert, he called me 3 or 4 times. I told him no interest. And they couldn't move. They were trying to move him for a reason, right? Because Mike Tomlin's as good as anybody at managing players. So all of a sudden, they're trying to move a guy that's still in the prime of his career. It's a Hall of Fame talent. And B, they're not getting a first-round pick from anybody. So there's some red flags out there. We gave a 3 and a 5. And quite frankly, from the moment he got there, he wouldn't wear any of our helmets.
I remember that.
He wanted us to paint his Pittsburgh Steeler helmet Oakland Raider colors, and we were just like, you can't do that.
Yeah,
like there's 30 some approved helmets. You got to pick one. For a lot of reasons, we can't paint your old helmet. He wouldn't wear any of those. He showed up at training camp in a hot air balloon with burned feet from a cryogenic chamber in Paris, France, and wouldn't wear any helmets. I mean, that was the beginning of training camp. So
great time to have a HBO, an NFL film chronicling everything, right? It's like, oh man.
I was so against it, and the league didn't really care. And, I'm a rookie GM, and, the last thing I want there is hard knocks. Hard knocks. But anyway, it was the only thing that exonerated at the end was when we cut him. We were able to, and one of the reasons he came after me was we suspended all his guarantees, which we had every right to do based on him leaving training camp and everything he did. So he came after me on the practice field, and a couple of days later, he did some dumb things in social media with the owner and Gruden, and finally we cut him. And so it cost us a 3 and a 5, and I think it probably taught a bunch of valuable lessons throughout our organization.
The organization, by the way, a bunch of stuff went on that you had no control of, but the product was good. You guys got better, dude. Like leaving that team under the circumstances you did, but like it was definitely better than when you found it. Do you ever think about getting back in?
Well, like I just said, we inherited a 4-win team, and 3 years later, we won 10 games. We went to Cincinnati for a playoff game, and they went to the Super Bowl that year.
You lost by this much.
We had the ball on the 9-yard line with 4 shots to get it in with under a minute left and win a game, and we couldn't get it done. And they went on to the Super Bowl. So I don't think we were a Super Bowl caliber team at that point. I'm not foolish, but we had moved the talent level, and we had really moved the culture, and we're moving it all in the right direction. And Coach Gruden had gotten fired, or however you want to call that, earlier in the year. Rich Bisaccia came in, did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
It's horrible that he's not a head coach in that league. But he and I both felt like we were on the verge of something had we just stayed with the program. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think the things that owners do that drive me crazy more than anything is dysfunctional franchises change GMs and coaches every other year.
Yeah.
You got no shot.
And cities and quarterbacks. That doesn't help either.
Right. It's just, I thought Coach Gruden got the most out of Derek Carr than anybody has. I thought John did great job. John's a great offensive coordinator. So we had this thing going pretty well, and I can't say why Mark Davis did or didn't do what he said, but at the end of the day, they've changed. I don't know. They've had 3 or 4 GMs and head coaches, and now they're one of the worst teams in the league. And they're instead of if they had kept Rich Bisaccia, they'd be fighting for division championships. And instead, right now, they're fighting for the first overall pick in the draft.
And relevance, which is hard to say for the Raiders. They have become, their fan base is apathetic.